Hey, everybody, welcome to my world. How's your world going today? Mine's rather been hectic, and we'll go into that in a little bit. It calls for long nights and short days. So that's the way it goes. So, anyhow, before we get going, I always have to do a disclaimer. And if I don't do a disclaimer, I'll get in trouble. You know how that goes. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, financial, or investment advice. Take what we say with a big grain of salt and always do your own research and due diligence. We're not responsible for and expressly disclaim all liability for damages of any kind arising out of use, reference to, or reliance on any information contained in this broadcast. Any persons or characters mentioned are, for the most part, fictional or as close to it as we can get. So you want to sit back, relax, and chill out. And oh, by the way, do you have your snacks? Do you have your favorite beverage? Are you sitting in your easy chair, laying on the floor, sitting at your computer desk? Hmm. Sitting in a beanbag. How many people have beanbag chairs anymore? I read someplace where there was a hotel that's all they had was beanbag furniture. That goes way back to what, the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe 90s. Well, get relaxed, okay? And we'll get started. And tell your friends about the show. Every Wednesday night, live at 8 p.m. Well, hey, guys, we have a lot of stuff. Some of it is going to be out of the ordinary tonight. It really will be out of the ordinary. Um, Only because it's one of those weeks, you know what I mean? A lot of different stuff was going on. But before we get going, we always have to talk about the Trim Radio Network. And, if I didn't talk about the Trim Radio Network, I'd be in trouble. You know how that goes. Some people say I've always been in trouble for some reason. But anyhow, let's talk a little bit about the Trim Radio Network. And here we are, our trimradio.com page. And all you have to do is go there to see what shows we have. We've got a venture awaits around the bend. We have Ranch It Up with Tigger and Beck. Life Walk with Christ God with Michael Bay Haas, Money and Change every Sunday at 7 p.m. And we're live until I start my concert seasons in May. And then at that point, I'll give everybody advance notice on that. We've got Offsides, College Football, Top 25. We've got My World, Live, Laugh, and Whatever. Gee whiz, that's every Wednesday night. And it is live every Wednesday night. The podcast, well, the Positude podcast, I'll put it that way, is on. It's a very good show. You have to watch it. And we also have Rascala's Red Pill reality show. And daggone it, Rascala, you have to give me the green pill. You always say you can take the red pill or you can take the blue pill, but I never get the green pill. Come on, find it for me, will you? And then we've got Victoria Smith's Natural Marketer podcast. Yeah, if you want to learn how to do marketing for your business or your club, just marketing in general, you have to watch Victoria Smith's show. You have to. Now, let's say you want to do your own show. Wow, how do you handle that? Well, right up here, we have a little box and it says, "Hi there, thanks for visiting Trim Radio Network. How can we help you today?" Click on that. And then it comes up and it says, "How can we help you today?" And you put your name in, you put your phone number in, and you put your message in. Hey, I want to do my own show on the Trim Radio Network. How do I do it? And here's my email address and maybe your cell phone number. And then you hit send the message, and somebody will get back with you very quickly. And that's all you have to do. And then, of course, we use our own little program here. StreamYard has a little mallard duck logo. It's easy to use. All you have to do is be able to talk, look into the camera, have good stuff on the show. Hey, and get some advertisers too. That helps. Anyhow, guys, that's all you have to do. And that's the Trim Radio network that we have. Okay. You can either listen now on the live stream or the past episodes. You can partner with us. You can host your own show. You can advertise with Trim. You can support the station. How do you do that? Well, you can either donate or you can buy the merchandise, or as Michael says, buy the merch. So all you have to do is just click on that. What do we have up here today? We've got the on-air Trim Radio 11-ounce black mug. We have the Make the Right Vote 2024. We have Trim Radio on-air unisex ultra cotton t-shirt. We have the Red Pill Reality Show black mug. I wonder if you could do a black mug, a red blood, a red mug. I'm getting tongue-tied. Or a blue mug. Well, then you can also buy 60-second spot air advertising if you want to, and the Money and Change ceramic mug. It's 11 ounces. You can get the Red Pill Reality Show new blend hooded sweatshirt or the Trim Radio Network insulated bottle. That's a good one. You have to get that one. Okay. That's all you have to do. What do we do with that money? It comes into the station and we use that to buy airtime. Airtime's expensive. And so to do our podcast, that's what we have to do is buy the merch, as Michael calls it. And it does, it helps out. We don't get paid for doing the show. We're not a high-end production system. So, we do our own research. We do our own shows. We're on Spotify. We are on Facebook. We're on X, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as Rumble. So what I always do is after the show is over with, I go ahead and go to Rumble and make sure it's loaded there. And then I put the link in Facebook. It's kind of a roundabout way, but you do get a very good video presentation that way. Trust me. So help us out. Either come and join us and do a show or donate. That's all you have to do. If you want to buy airtime, that's fine and help support us. Okay. That's easy to do. Well, hey, we have our own Facebook page. And here it is. Oh, and we've got a lot of people. It's a private group right now. I'll eventually open it up to a public group. But we have a lot of different people watching. And a big shout out to Gary and Bob, G, and Dora, a lot of the other guys. Thanks for watching the show. It really does. And if you can click that like button wherever it is, especially on YouTube or Rumble, I'd appreciate it. Because the more likes we get, the more showtime we get for other things. Okay? That's one good thing there. Let's see what else is going on. What did I post? Oh, yeah, our party. Yeah, we're not really going to have a party tonight. We're going to have some discussion and stuff. But, we'll have an interesting time, especially towards the end of the show. But I'm going to do a little commentary, though. But anyhow, join us for the party. Have your favorite beverage and your snacks and sit back and relax. That's all Wednesday night really is. It's not one of those contentious nights. You just have to sit back and chill out. And, we post different things. List of taxes. Oh, I'm going to have to do a tax special. I'm going to do that for Money and Change, and we'll talk about all the different types of taxes. And you can see those that are listed here. Are we being taxed to death? Do you think the Donald is going to get rid of the income tax and go to a sales tax? Are we going to have a import tax? You never know. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But, I post different things here. Here's Colby, which is, he's from the Max. And he has his show and he puts a couple different videos up a week. And he has a very, very, very good show. But you can check us out here on our Facebook page, and it's easy to do. Kick back and party back. Oh yes, well we have to talk about the University of Findlay. I've got to go there and do that. The University of Findlay is an NCAA Division II school, and they have very good sports. But I have bad news. The men's basketball team lost to Cedarville College, or Cedarville University it is now. They lost. For some reason, they just couldn't get it together. And the ladies, well, they lost their game in tourney too, so they're both out of the tourney. But guess what? We've got baseball coming up. We've got lacrosse. We've got track and field, and a bunch of other goodies too. And the University of Findlay does not play tiddlywinks. I'm sorry, we don't do that. But it's a good school. It's located in Findlay, Ohio. It's like I said, NCAA Division II sports school, but it's a very good academic school. It really is. And I'll tell you what, that's the picture that you're looking at there is Old Main. That was the original building for classrooms. And guess what? I had a lot of classes in that building. I had classes in other buildings too. And they have a really good educational system. Some people say, well, there's Hillsdale College in Michigan. Well, Hillsdale and the University of Findlay are kind of similar with their academics. Both are very good academic schools. The University of Findlay has 3 campuses. One is the Hazardous Materials Campus, which is one of a few in the country, and they talk about how to take care of hazardous material spills and what to look for, safety precautions, and things like that. Then they also have the Equestrian School, which is on the other side of Findlay. And what they talk about there and teach is equestrian studies, how to take care of animals. They also have pre-veterinary is there, pre-veterinary sciences. And so that's the other campus. But the main campus where a lot of things happen, that happens to be on Main Street in Findlay. Actually, it's 224 in Maine. It's where the main campus is. They have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctoral degrees. They have 5 doctoral programs, a whole bunch of master's programs, and a whole bunch of bachelor programs. Very good professors, very good facilities, a lot of good students, and I'll tell you what, you'll meet students from other countries there because the University of Findlay has foreign students there as well as people from the United States. It's a very, very good school. And if you go to their website, www.findlay.edu, you can take a look at the whole campus and see what it is for admissions and financial aid, what they do online, their academics, their campus life, their activities. It's a good place to go, trust me. And the one thing that I talked about on Sunday, I guess the deal with the University of Bluffton joining the University of Findlay kind of fell through. The University of Findlay trustees didn't approve it. It was in the works and it looked like it was going to be a good deal, and all of a sudden it just fell apart for some reason. But I'll tell you what, Dr. Kathy Fell is the president there. She's done an excellent, excellent job on that campus. And she's been there for quite a while. She's done a fantastic job. Trust me. Wow, what else is going on? Oh, yeah. Rusty Duck's Custom Pens and Blanks. And these are just a sample of some of his military pens and firefighter pens that he does. And these are carbon fiber. And he does the design work. He has the pens that are usually the cross pen platform. And I'll tell you what, he does an excellent job. He really does. He has a lot of different pens that he makes, a lot of custom pens. And you just have to check out his Facebook page, Rusty Duck's Custom Pens and Blanks. And I mean, he'll show you how the pens are made. So for bolt action pens, he does different ones. Here's one with the cross on it. and hearts, and he's done that, and he's done all the others, military. And oh, who's that skeleton holding up the Air Force? Well, anyhow, you can see the different pens and stuff that he's made. He really does a good job. And he made a pen several years ago that went to the Grand Master for the Masons in Ohio. It was a presentation pen. And I'll tell you what, he does excellent work. He does. I mean, some of the stuff he sold pens down at Disney World in Florida. He's been to trade shows in Japan. He's all kinds of stuff. Check him out. Phil over at Rusty Ducks Custom Pens and Blanks, or just Rusty Ducks Custom Blanks. Okay. You check him out. Michael Bejas and I both bought pens from him, and they are fantastic pens. He makes a center section too, which is actually called the blank, and you can finish them off however you want. And he will do the blanks for you, and you can put your own pen workings, a cross pen platform, or whatever you need. So you can check out that. Now, hey, we've got the big family homestead with Brad and Krista. It's mud season in Wisconsin. You know, the weather there in the wintertime, it gets cold, it freezes. They get some pretty decent snow out in the middle of Wisconsin. And now they're getting into the mud season. When everything thaws, everything gets muddy out there. And being on the farm, I don't know how they control all the mud. But they do have an interesting show, and they talk about a lot of different things on YouTube. Okay, so you want to check them out, the Big Family Homestead. Also, the Deep South Homestead, which is actually Pecan Grove now, that's with Danny and Wanda King. And they're talking about what plants they're going to plant this fall. And they talk about the economy and doing different things. He was even doing a demonstration on how to butcher a hog, I believe. Yeah, and how to take care of the meat and doing all kinds of stuff. Um, he's a good old boy. I'd love to have him as neighbors. I don't think I'd want the hogs as neighbors, but they're they're good people. Trust me, they're down home, good earth people, and half the guys, actually all the guys that I've got on my shout outs, I'd love to have them as neighbors. The next one we've got is Southern Prepper One with Dave Kobler. Dave is on usually once a week now. He's very, very busy. And he talks about the economy. He talks about some of the stuff that's going on. He may be helping to fight the fires in South Carolina and North Carolina. I'm not sure. He is a member of a volunteer fire department. And I believe it was called the Pumpkin Patch Fire Department. And I saw a picture of it one time. And it's kind of interesting, but it does exist. So check him out. That's Dave Kobler. We have Patriot Nurse with Rachel. She talks a lot about medicine, but the way she does it, it's herbal medicine, how to take care of yourself in an emergency, things to look for sickness and so forth. She was a nurse for many, 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 many years in all different sorts of nursing situations, whether it was psychiatric nursing or um, midwife situations or emergency room situations. She's good, and she's very honest. Also, we've got the Prepper Princess with Amber Stork. You have to watch Amber because she talks about the economy, how she made her money herself, self-made millionaire, and she shows you how to do it. Also, we have the LDS Prepper with David Gilmore, and you've heard me talk about, yeah, here it is, the GMRS radio with the Nagoya 771G antenna. This radio can communicate up to 35 miles away, hit a repeater, and from there you can talk to a lot of other people. $35 for a license that lasts for 10 years. Anybody in your family can use it. Just follow the rules. No cussing, no swearing, that type of thing. Okay, there are rules you have to follow. But this is a good communication device because when The power goes down and these are charged up. I'll tell you what, you could talk to your relatives. And if your neighbor has them and they have a license, you can talk to them. So communication is a key thing to have in an emergency. Well, let's see what else we've got. The Max. Yeah. We talked about Colby and the Max. You have to actually take a look at that show on YouTube. Why? Because it's a good show. And he talks about a lot of different things. And some things he says, this is an emergency and you need to pay attention. Pay attention when you watch that show. He's a very good guy. He's down in Mississippi and he's in Eastern Mississippi. And I'll tell you what, I really like the guy. Really, really, really like his show. So you want to check him out. Wow, what else is going on? Oh, a crazy week. I got to tell you about last night. Here I am. I'm just about ready to go to bed. And I had my scanner on and I heard there was a big fire. They'd say down in Kentucky and Tennessee, big fire. There's a fire down there. Well, I listened to it and it went the first alarm and then the second. I think there was a third. And I thought, I have to go see this. So I called my friend across the street. I said, hey, you want to go see a fire? Where is it? Well, it's downtown. What? Next thing you know, we're in the car, we're going down there, and we see smoke going across the downtown like you wouldn't believe. And it looked like almost a fog. And then we got into it, we could smell it. Man, I had to turn off the ventilation in the car. I had to make sure the windows were rolled up. And we drove around to try to see where the fire is. And we saw a whole bunch of red lights flashing. Oh man, a whole bunch. And it was right downtown in the main part. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to be something. Well, we went around and around and around, and the closest we could get was a block away. And we couldn't see too much. And after the third time around, I told my friend, I said, look, why don't we just take the car and park as close as we can, not being in the way of the fire crews, and let's see what's going on. Well, I have a device that I take with me, which I have, and I'll show you. This is a Harris Unity XG100. Does it look familiar? Does it look like police and fire would have these? These are great little radios. And I'm not allowed to talk on it, but I imagine if I wanted to, I probably could, but I'd be in trouble. But this has all of the channels for the state of Ohio. And I got this from a private investigator, believe it or not. He was selling it. They're not cheap. I'd hate to see what the new price is. This was $700 for this. I call it the brick because it's very heavy. I mean, very heavy. But if I wanted to, yes, I can communicate. And I can also switch and go off that and go onto GMRS or ham radio with this thing. It's got a bunch of uses. But there's also a thing that they have on the very top of it, which is a little red button. And I was warned when I got this, do not hit the red button for any reason. And I thought, what reason is it? And I talked to somebody and they said, oh, that's the emergency button. We hit that and you'll have cops all over the place. Oh, so anyhow, I took that down to the fire and it was kind of drizzling outside. And so I thought, well, hey, I'll just, turn the volume up a little bit, put it inside my coat to keep it basically protected. And it is waterproof for the most part. And we parked the car and I got my cane and I hobbled about half a block. And we were on the town square and we saw smoke and flames. The flames jumped up 20 to 30 feet above this building. And I thought, my God, this friend of mine has a sign shop there. He's nationally known. And I thought, if it's Brian's place, holy cow, this is something. Well, it wasn't, but it was close by. And two businesses caught fire. And I guess it started, they guess, and they still have to go through investigation in a uh, beauty salon that was there, spa. Who knows? Maybe the hot tub got overheated. I don't know. But flames, and I thought, oh my God, there's a Winans Coffee Roastery over there too. I thought that was on fire, but it wasn't. And then there was another smoothie shop. And I thought maybe that's on fire. Well, it wasn't, but it got a lot of water damage. And so we watched it for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I thought, this is nasty stuff. And they had fire departments from like 6 surrounding cities show up to fight this thing. And it was something to behold. It really was. But I could only stand it so long because of the smoke. And I don't know if the smoke is probably toxic, but I didn't want to hang around too long, so we left. And I got home about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. I think maybe 1:30. And I thought, I'm covered with this smoke. I've got to get out of this stuff and get it washed. I've got to take a shower because I could smell it. I mean, the car smelled like it. My clothes smelled like, I mean, it just inundated everything. And so I got cleaned up and everything was washed. And I thought, okay, I have to dry it, so I'll stay up a little bit. Well, it was now 2:30 in the morning. And of course, the brick was going off and making a lot of noise. And they were talking about making sure that firemen were accounted for. And every 10 minutes, they were asking for a welfare check on everybody. And all the different departments were there, had to count the number of men that they had and tell where they were and so forth. It was scary because the flames were they were going crazy. And the part of the town square was blocked off and you couldn't get close to the buildings and water was flowing everywhere. And when we were down there, the big plaza building that we have that has the public library is there, plus a big fancy ballroom up on the third floor, no, fourth floor. And their alarms started going off. And so one of the responding fire companies from another town, they showed up and they were checking that building out. And I'm thinking, if there was a heavy wind and sparks from that fire went everywhere, I mean, we could have a big conflagration. That's a big word for big fire, all over downtown. So, it was one of those things. Well, anyhow, I listened till about, well, actually about a quarter till 3. Everything was done. So I put that stuff away. And they were still in the process of cleaning up the fire. In other words, it's almost shut down and they're dismissing the other cities for showing up to help put out the fire. And there was still a crew on scene probably until about 3:30 in the morning, but I wasn't going to hang around for that. I needed some sleep. But anyhow, guys, that was last evening, and I finally woke up this morning at about 8 o'clock. I mean, I had to get at least 5 hours of sleep. I had to. What a day. And I can still smell smoke. Clean clothes, showered twice, I can still smell that smoke. So if you're ever around a fire, okay, a big fire, don't really breathe in that smoke. It can get nasty. Okay. So you really don't want to do that. Well, and then we had Trump's speech, of course, I guess was last night. I listened to part of it, and I noticed in catching the reruns from a couple other shows that all the Republicans stood up and only a couple of Democrats stood up and everybody else sat down. Matter of fact, some people didn't even show. And what got me, my commentary part, was the fact that when they were talking about the kid that was from down south that had cancer, had brain surgery, and they made him. I think it was from Houston, Texas. They made him an honorary policeman because that's what he wanted to be when he grows up. And then they did other honorary stuff. Well, then President Trump told him, he says, "Well, why don't we just make you an honorary Secret Service member, or was it a FBI member? It was I think it was no, it wasn't FBI, probably Secret Service." And so they made him credentials and presented him and so forth. It made that kid's evening. I mean, it really did. Made his dad proud too. And everybody stood up and applauded and, high fives and all that. But the Democrats just sat there. And then they talked about other people whose father happened to be shot and killed, and leaving these other two gals and her mom to survive. And again, everybody stood up, including I think the two Democrats that were there stood up, but the others, they just sat there. They did not appreciate that. That tells me something. I mean, you have people that have hardships and they're going through it and they're getting help, and they're really persevering, and they needed to get some, a pat on the back. It was a pat on the back by the President of the United States. Hey, that's a pretty good pat on the back. And the Democrats just didn't want to appreciate it, I guess. That was very disappointing. But his speech was positive. We need to do this. And it was a big change from the previous administration. And now they're looking into how money was spent. I guess they're looking into Social Security now to see where the money's going. And the president said, "Oh, well, we found some people that were over 100 years old. They're still receiving payments, but we don't think they're living." There were some that were over 150 years old, and we don't think they're living. And there was even an account of one that was over 300 years old. And how did they get Social Security? And if they're being paid, where's the money going? And I think DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, is going to identify things, and maybe they can claw some money back. In other words, get the money back that was used illegally. And hopefully the people that are using things illegally get caught and get justice. So we'll see what happens. But overall, it was a good speech. And it wasn't boring, even though the Democrats thought it was. Very little reaction. But the big thing is, if you did something illegal, guess what? We're going to take care of that. And I was going to play it, but I've already talked it. So we'll skip on that. Now, here's something I found on X, and I got to play this for you. Do you ever have flu? Do you know what the Amish do for flu? Well, here's something that might work. And I didn't know that the Amish had what I would like to call white lightning. But this stuff really burns. So let's see what they have. I'm going to make this large and we'll play it. Listen up and take some notes.
Yesterday during hunting, I started getting sick, and this morning when I got up, I could not hardly speak. I had no voice. Right now I can speak. And I went back to an old Amish recipe called fire water. Check it out. Esther Hershberger wrote the fire water recipe in the Amish cookbook. You got 1/2 cup boiling water, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon cayenne pepper, 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. Then it says stir water and salt until dissolved. Add the pepper and vinegar, and then you take 1 teaspoon every 15 to 20 minutes until flu is gone. I've been doing that, and guess what? I'm pretty much over it. But I do have to warn you. It says fire water for a reason. It's like fire burning down your throat, but it only lasts for a little bit, but it works. The hot toddies work too, where you put the honey and lemon and a shot of whiskey at bedtime. That still works, but I would highly recommend the fire water over anything else. And of course, for anybody that wants their own, I will put the link for the website, how to buy yours, in the comments.
Wow. Fire water. I think the Indians had fire water, but I think the fire water they had was, I believe, whiskey. And I've heard of mixing whiskey, lemon, and honey, and mixing it together and having that. I don't know if I could do that Amish concoction. It might work. My advice is, if you're using boiling water and adding everything to it, let the water cool down before you ingest some of the elixir, if you know what I mean. But that was interesting. And it's a homebrew recipe. And if it works, hey, that's fine. There's a lot of other home remedies that work for the most part. But anyhow, I saw that and I thought, hey, I'm going to tell everybody about that. How many of you live in HOAs? And I just got rid of it. Oh my God. There was a story that I was going to show you tonight where they raised the HOA fees to up to $3,000 for an HOA fee. I know when I was thinking about moving to Florida, I was looking at a realtor and I had him looking for some things for me, and things just didn't transpire. And anyhow, I looked at this place at Bel Air, Florida, and it was, I think it was on the ninth hole of the Bel Air Country Club. And that's a posh area. And I thought, things can't be that expensive there. But just for the heck of it, a 2-bedroom condo appeared. It was nice and very nicely manicured lawns and everything. And I thought, wow, that looks interesting. I wonder what the HOA was. The homeowner association for that place was $750 a month. Could you imagine if they raised it to $3,000 a month? Oh, yeah. And basically, your payments for the HOA was one thing, but then you had to have your mortgage for that condo. And the mortgage on the condo was reasonable. It was like $380 a month. But then you add that other on there and it got kind of expensive. So there are a lot of crazy places. I was talking to some friends about Hulk Hogan lived in Bel Air. I've been by his place several times. And Gary, if you're watching, I believe we went by there a couple of times when you came down to Florida to visit when I was on vacation. But I'll tell you what, it's a neat area. But you see a lot of Mercedes Benz, and that's a cheap car there because they have a lot of Bentleys, maybe a couple of Maybachs, a few Rolls Royces. Yeah, it's an interesting area. And here I am driving around in, what was it at the time? I think I had a Chevy. I felt out of place. I really did. But it was interesting about the HOA fees and what do you get for them? You didn't even get the golf course for that condo. It was interesting. It really was. Anyhow, here was an article I saw. Is the U.S. last in the lunch line? And it's done by Michelle Standley, the Epic Times, and a few decade. I'll talk. A few decades ago, there it is. Um, Many U.S. school cafeteria prepared meals from scratch for hundreds of students each day. And years passed, and some of the kitchen staff watched fresh ingredients like flour, eggs, and stuff like that disappeared and replaced by boxes of prepackaged processed foods. And the article goes on to say we do have a lot of fresh diced cucumber, pineapple, cantaloupe, honeydew, kiwi, and the kids enjoy it. But most of our lunches are heat and serve. Very rarely do we have any made by scratch foods. And that was according to Verna Wow Wright. Wow? Hmm. A California based school nutrition assistant told the Epic Times. Do you remember the old school pizzas that came, they were square pieces of pizza, and was usually, um, it wasn't exactly meat lovers. There was some in there, but the school pizza was the best thing. It was always the best thing. And, you would get a little salad with it. The school salads were nice, but you would get this big piece of pizza, this big square of pizza. Oh, that was the best thing. They could have pizza every day of the week when I was there, when I was in school. They didn't. And sometimes we got things like peanut butter that would not only stick to the roof of your mouth, but would probably clog you up, where. Some countries, they have fresh foods, and people don't have the health problems that they have from processed foods. So maybe we need to go back more to a health food or healthier food choices rather than the boxed lunches. Wow. Well, guess what? The rest of the time here, I'm going to have a little bit of fun. And you're probably saying, it's about time. But I am. Have you ever heard of bloopers? When actors make a mistake online or in the movie or in the TV show, and they have to edit those out, because sometimes the bloopers can get, if you're watching um, some British comedy, um, let's put it this way. There's a lot of bloopers there, and sometimes they can't very well edit them out. Well, I found some stuff. The best actors breaking character. And this is Tim Conway and Harvey Korman and others. But you have to watch this one because it is hilarious. Here's the old firefighter. Mouth to mouth resuscitation is the only way. Where are you from? That wasn't in the script. I hope you'll be gentle when you talk about.
You are really nuts, One of these days they're gonna come over here and lock you up. Oh, lay off of me. You're playing with a full deck unit. Somebody blew your pilot light out.
She forgot her lines.
You got splinters in the windmills of your mind. Playing hockey with a warped puck.
And she's trying to think of a comeback.
That feels even better.
Read your newspaper.
Molly,
Hmm?
why don't we have another kid? Take a firm hold of the hypodermic needle. Right.
This is the classic one.
There'll be a little bit of pain, and then numbness will set in.
Oh, yes, well, I get right to it.
I'll just give you a little shot here. Yeah, I'll be right with you.
That's off the Carol Burnett show. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of other stuff out there, too. Can you imagine that? These bloopers, that was actually shown, but he was actually taking extra stuff and putting it in there, and Harvey Korman couldn't keep a straight face anymore. Hey, what about the comedian Don Rickles? Do you remember Don Rickles? He used to be on Johnny Carson a lot. And Dean Martin had a roast. And it turns out that Don Rickles was the person of honor. Actually, they were going to roast him, and they did a very good job. But there was Foster Brooks doing this, and he was picking on Don Rickles because Don Rickles had a certain type of humor, and he could really, really, really be pointed with it. So let's see what Foster Brooks had to say about Don Rickles. Here we go.
Speaker has never met Don Rickles. Boy, that's a lucky guy. But he asked especially if he could come here tonight just to pay tribute to him. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks?
I'm gonna shrink this.
Thank you very much.
Better quality.
As the Frederick and gentlemen just told you. I have never met Don with Rick. In fact, he's probably wondering what I'm doing here. He has never even seen. He has never seen me before. He's never heard of me, and I've never come home. However, Mr. Rickles, you and I do have an indirect relationship. You see, I'm fooling around with your eyes. So you see, we do have something in common. I hope you understand, Don, that we have tried to keep this very, very discreet. So don't tell anybody, will you? My wife would be furious if she found out. Don, I really must compliment you on your spot, Mrs. Pickles. I say that because she's a real dilly. And I must also admit you have a very lovely home. Incidentally, you're out of scotch. And if you happen to think of it, pick up some pretzels. You know, Don, what your wife and I love to do most? Watching you while you're on TV. While you're on TV. When you're on, we just laugh and chuckle and giggle. And sometimes we even turn the sound on. And we're always sad when you finish your act. It means you're on your way home and I better cheese it. Which reminds me, you're out of Velveeta too. Now, please, Don, don't blame your lovely wife for any of this. Our getting together was all my doing. It's all my fault. I happen to be the one who answered her ad in Hollywood Fever.
Oh, they're roasting him. They are roasting him.
You know, your wife thinks very, very highly of you, Don. She tells me you are one wonderful man. And I know that you must be to put up with all her snoring. She tells me that since she's been Mrs. Ricker, she says every day with you is Thanksgiving. By golly, that's what she gets for marrying the turkey.
And would you believe that Foster Brooks did not drink? He played a drunk, but he didn't drink. And he was a character. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put one other thing up here. Don Rickles roasts Frank Sinatra. I'm going to play a little bit of it. And this is Don Rickles. So let's see what he has.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card.
Oh, no, we don't need these ads. They always put these ads on here. Oh, I don't know about that. Let's see if I can kind of take care of that, maybe.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for revenge. The CBO Shockey, which is a big hit on the NBC network. Mr. Don Rickles.
Now it's Don's turn to pick on somebody.
May I say publicly to you, is the prom of the year. Teams would have had a turnout. All over, Frank. I know you don't like to hear that. It's gone. For my black brothers, Rick Squire, Rick Wilson, the one to pay. It's your whole life. Your dear, wonderful, wonderful new wife, Barbara. Barbara, the one with the diamond on her nose. The Jewish wife, she doesn't do that. She has so much jewelry on, she can't keep her head up. Good. I'm lay down. George, who joined it? Was it London? Julie Weasel, who gave me a break in Miami Beach. Guy said, you stink, and Julie walked over and said, they killed the Don. It's a man that's in charge of the Italian people. The capo, the bande, the bende. Pupazzi, the bande, comandi, the rende. Don't do that. We make a phone call, give a few dollars, and they all go away. Who will go fix her up? And the politics without any trouble?
Oh my God. What goes on? Craziness. Something different tonight. Bloopers and a little bit more comedy. Well, anyhow, guys, you know, it's almost time to skedaddle out of here. And guess what? We're going to have to. I'll see you Sunday for Money and Change at 7 p.m. We're going to talk about the economy, a lot of stuff that's going on. Also, how to save some money. So you can bring your beverage and your snacks, but bring some pen and paper and take some notes, okay? With that, that's all I've got for this week on My World. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you Sunday. See ya.
In a world drowning in noise, where truth is often buried beneath layers of propaganda and misinformation, there's a need for a different kind of a network of creators that cuts through the clutter, that doesn't shy away from tough topics, and that delivers the unfiltered truth. We are Trim Radio Network. We are creators, we are innovators, we are investigators. We're the ones who aren't afraid to call a spade a spade. If you're ready to participate in thought-provoking discussions, informational topics, and of course today's biggest headlines, subscribe to our YouTube channel today. We're Trim Radio Network. We're cutting the bull and serving the truth.